Welcome to this explainer. Today we're taking a pretty fascinating journey. We're going from the high-altitude, abstract realm of economic theory straight down to the high-stakes reality of the modern corporate desk. Think of traditional economics as a finely tuned compass. It points to true north, it reads the magnetic fields of the market, and it tells you exactly where you are. But let's be real, a compass cannot steer a ship through a storm. For that, you need a captain. And in our journey today, managerial economics is that captain. We're going to explore exactly how the raw data and theories of economics are actually transformed into the decisive, real-world actions that drive successful businesses. Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap. First, the nature of economics. Second, positive versus normative science. Third, discovering truth. Fourth, we enter managerial economics. And finally, number 5, the corporate integrator.
All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the nature of economics, art or science.
To really wrap our heads around this, we have to look at what we call the scope of economics. Basically, it's the entire province or field of study. This scope encompasses the systematic gathering of facts alongside the practical problem-solving rules. What's really interesting about this is how these two seemingly opposed identities, the rigid and the fluid, complement each other so perfectly. You literally cannot have a complete picture of economics without both. Think of it this way. Economics as a science gives us the hard data. It's the microscope. It systematically gathers, classifies, and analyzes facts about human economic motives, deducing these big generalizations through measurable monetary processes. But economics as an art, well, that's the paintbrush. It offers the practical guidance and the rules designed to achieve specific real-world business goals. So if science teaches us the underlying knowledge, art shows our captain exactly how to apply it.
Moving right along to Section 2, positive versus normative science, or what is versus what ought to be.
So let's break this down. Positive economics is your raw data. It's the what is, with absolutely zero judgments attached. It's purely factual analysis based on available evidence. Normative economics, on the other hand, is your moral compass. It's evaluating what ought to be done. It's deeply concerned with promoting human welfare, bringing ethical values into the mix, and actually judging outcomes as good or bad.
Let's put that into perspective. Saying 12% of the labor force was unemployed last year is a positive, factual baseline. It just is. But claiming 12% unemployment is way too high and we absolutely must rectify it takes that raw data and injects a normative value judgment. The crucial point here is that a robust economic framework requires both the anchor of facts and the engine of ethical action to actually guide us forward.
Let's move to Section 3 and see how this builds. Discovering truth, the methodology of economics.
So how do economists actually formulate their laws? Well, first there's the deductive method, which is very top-down. You start with a broad general principle, like, say, the radical assumption that traders actually want to earn a profit, right? Then you use pure reasoning to deduce specific implications for complex phenomena. It's a fantastic tool to cut through the noise when you're looking at situations where cause and effect are just hopelessly intertwined. Conversely, the inductive method flips the script completely. It's bottom-up. First, you observe specific raw facts, like, for instance, the actual consumption patterns of different income groups. Then you use reasoning based on that data to formulate general laws and hypotheses upwards from those observed regularities. You're literally building the rule out of the raw data. Okay, let's take a quick breather. So far, we've talked about art and science, positive and normative statements, and deductive versus inductive reasoning. It's all brilliant academic theory. But you might be wondering, how do we actually use this to run a business? How does all this abstract ivory tower knowledge actually apply to the chaotic, fast-paced corporate landscape? Like, how does a manager use this on a random Tuesday morning?
Well, that brings us to Section 4. Enter managerial economics, the captain of the ship.
So how do we navigate this storm? Managerial economics is our captain. It adapts traditional economic theory and analytical techniques right into real-world business decisions. It acts as the literal bridge between the abstract ideas of economics and the practical choices companies on the production side have to make every single day. Basically, it translates the highly theoretical into the highly actionable. And this brilliantly illustrates the kind of gauntlet managers face. Every single day, they're hit with a barrage of high-stakes strategic questions. What exact goods should we produce? Which inputs and techniques are going to be the most efficient? How much output is required so we don't end up overstocking? At what prices should we sell? What are the optimal plant sizes and locations? Managerial economics provides the exact framework needed to formulate answers to these questions in incredibly complex environments.
Which leads us to our final act, Section 5, the ultimate corporate integrator, unifying the business. You see, managerial economics isn't just some academic subject. It's honestly a bit of a superpower because it destroys corporate silos. It integrates external disciplines like psychology and sociology while simultaneously coordinating internal functional areas. I'm talking finance, marketing, human resources, and production. It forces everyone to actually talk to each other. It ensures that decisions are never made in isolation, but instead align the entire machine toward one overarching goal.
By utilizing this framework, developing adept decision-makers becomes so much easier. The true value here is focus. Managers learn the ability to identify the absolutely crucial relationships within a situation while entirely disregarding all those peripheral, extraneous details. They learn to see what truly matters so they can optimize resources within tight constraints.
But, the ultimate realization here is that the bottom line isn't solely financial. Managerial economics explicitly acknowledges the profound interaction between a firm and society. It views social commitments not as some afterthought, but as actual, rigid constraints that influence business decisions. It emphasizes the role of the business in promoting true social and economic welfare.
Which leaves us with a final provocative thought to ponder. We've seen how the economic compass points the way and how the managerial captain steers the ship, balancing data, value judgments, internal silos, and external societal constraints. So, look at your own organization for a second. Does your company use these principles to simply generate profit or to promote true economic welfare? It's a big question for sure. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. I really hope this changes how you view the incredible machinery of economic decision-making.